fuck, was I muted? Oh my god, you both muted as well. I have completely fucked this. I'm getting worse and worse every week. I'm going to get sacked. Anyway, what I said was, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Weekly Armchair Sports Talk. I'm your host, Mark. I've got two wonderful guests with me, Keane and Jamie. Obviously, we're very, very happy about the result. I'm surprised you lot didn't jump out and go, Mark, you're on mute, you prick. But here we are anyway. Good to see you all. I hope you're pleased about the result. So, boys, a 3-0 win in the first leg. Certainly 1 foot in the door and potentially off to Wembley. And I know Keane's already booked his hotel and everything a couple of weeks back. Maybe a bit premature, but not looking that way. How's it going, Keane? And how you feeling after that? What's going on? You're off mute, bro. Oh, he's
He's dipped. He's dipped.
Oh, fucking hell, what's going on? Jarvis in the comments, good evening, buddy. We're upset having a mare tonight. I don't know what's going on. Jamie, thanks for joining me, brother. Same question to you then, bro. How you feeling after that?
Yeah, rarely ever seen us over the last few years be presented with a two-legged semi-final or anything like that, and make light work of it in the first leg. Credit to Forest. I'd just like to get that out there straight away. I don't think it was as simple as a 3-0 scoreline sort of shows. I think that they looked dangerous, and they were just missing that touch. Brennan Johnson looked phenomenal. That Gibbs White, that version of Gibbs White that Forest put out there tonight, they need to put him out every single week. Like
he's,
I don't know
I
where
was
he's been
saying
hiding.
actually in a chat, I really rate him actually, and I wouldn't mind him at United if I'm honest. I thought he was superb tonight. Really caused us a lot of problems, and Johnson as well. Another one.
Johnson was wicked, but all in all, we were a good side, and we got off to a strong start, which is something that we seem to do more of these days. We're starting on the front foot, and we're getting into those killer positions and actually making it count, which is nice. And all in all, it was a comfortable evening. I think both midfields didn't seem to fancy being there at any point during the evening. It was like a game of basketball. Do you know what I mean? It was attack after attack from both sides, back and forth. And we came out the right side of it. It's a tough place to go. We were just saying backstage there, what was it? They haven't lost at home in 8 games. And they've picked up some pretty big scalps on the way to a good run. And they're looking like a settled side now under Cooper. I know they had a few issues at parts in the season. And I suppose in trying to bed in 65 new members of the squad or whatever it is that they've brought in is always going to be tricky. But he's doing well there. They're a good crowd. They're a good team. And I think that was a tougher draw than maybe people thought. I think at the end of the day as well, though, having Hennessy start when your best goalkeeper's got to sit on the bench is a bit of a kick in the teeth for him. But unfortunately, sometimes that's football. But it's good to see Rashford continue this ridiculous vein of scoring form. Weghorst getting on the score sheet.
10 now. 10 in 10 now.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I like seeing Weghorst, because it's one of those that, in both the games that he's played prior to this, his pressing's been there. Like the stats have backed that up. It shows that presence that he has, and that the hassling that he gets up to. And it was nice to see him to get a goal, and it shows that he's got that quick instinct, to react first to that save and get there to poke it over the line. That's the sort of stuff that we're going to need. And then obviously Bruno caps it off. But yeah, all in all, you can't be really disappointed, can you, with a 3-0 home win in the 3-0 away win in the first leg of the semi-final of the League Cup?
Absolutely not. And they got the job done, didn't they? It was very much a shaky start. I think everybody was very poor in the first half. We looked a lot better in the second half. Probably got a rocket up their arse at half time. There's no doubt about that. Weghorst, I've been really impressed with him, even since he's come in, even against Palace. He seems to sort of drive forward. He's got a very good high press. I just think that, we brought him in for multiple reasons, obviously to score goals, but he holds the ball up and is good with the link up. So it's good seeing, of course, pouncing it tonight. And listen, whilst he is good with those other things I mentioned, he needs to be serviced. He needs to be fed that ball and obviously be there at the right time, which he always will be. And that's exactly what happened tonight. So really, really proud and pleased for him. Wout of this world, I might say. But anyway, Keane.
Fucking sack him now, Keane. If that
Honestly,
nonsense at the start of the show wasn't bad enough, that was
yeah, I don't
We,
know
we,
what's what.
we'll have a little meeting after this.
We might have to.
disciplinaries.
Honestly, I'm not having a good. Yeah, last couple I've not had a good time at all. But anyway, I've had a great time because I've been with you lot, but I've been absolutely poor. Anyway, Keane, talk to me. I did ask you the question earlier, and then you dipped out. I thought you were really angry at me. So, but
No,
go for it.
my internet was playing up, so I just had to switch the connection. I was connected to it, but yeah, look, glad to be here. And Evan says that he loves you as well, Mark, and he spelled your name correctly there as well. So,
Spelled it wrong, but
yeah. But yeah, look, a good result. I think. Look, wasn't the I suppose our best performance of the season. You know, I think Jamie mentioned it in midfield. It was probably our midfield's worst game in a long time. Like, look, and you can't make an excuse and say there was no Casemiro. There was Joe Casemiro, Bruno, and Ericsson in there. So, like, look, it was their first choice midfield. I think, like, what we've seen tonight is a professional performance. But I do think we've seen the effects of fixture congestion hit us now, because I think some of the players at like 60, 70 minutes, they're absolutely knackered. Like Ericsson, when he was coming off, I was worried for him. Like, honestly, I was worried for Ericsson when he was coming off. And yeah, like, look, it's good result. We're one step closer to Wembley. I know I mentioned off air, like I have the hotels booked and stuff like that already booked for London that weekend. So that's literally a couple of days after Barcelona as well. And so yeah, my manager is going to kill me after this, looking for time off. But he's probably watching as well. So that's, I want the annual leave, by the way. But anyway, yeah, look, it was a good result. Like, it's good to see Rashford again. What more can we say about this kid? Like,
unbelievable. We seem to
so
sort of
good.
repeat ourselves every week, but honestly, he's the best player in the league. He's the best player in the league currently, at least, and unbelievable. I'm absolutely over the moon for him. And I said this before to you guys, but Rashford always sorts of pulls at the heartstrings, doesn't he? You know what I mean? From how he came through, how he burst onto the scene, obviously everything he was going through, doing everything magnificent that he does. You just always want the best for him, and it's just great, man. I'm so happy for him.
Yeah, he's just brilliant. And do you know what as well? It's just his confidence. He's just oozing it at the minute. Yeah, Evan bought stocks in Man United for his college project. I think that's why he's asking that. But yeah, like, look, it's his confidence is just top of the range at the minute. You're seeing, like, when he was taking on the Forest players, like, before he even got near the goal, I was like, fuck, he's so fast. Like, he's so quick with the ball. Like,
his feet for that goal.
yeah,
How it stuck to him. That was such good footwork. If you watch it again, unbelievable footwork.
yeah, like, look at his footwork, for one, is just unbelievable, and secondly, just his composure, and to switch it onto his left foot and finish that was just unbelievable. And look, I've been singing his praises all season, and I know I always. I think every match reaction I'm going on now, I'm calling out Mr. Greg Chambers every time, because Marcus Rashford is literally just proving them wrong every single week. And look, if he keeps going the way he's going, I mentioned it in the chat earlier, I think him and Casemiro are going to be going head to head for United's player of the season this year, like, really and truly. And that's even taking into consideration Martinez and Varane have been so good this year, but them two have just been levels. It just shows what a world-class defensive midfielder, having that stability in the team, can do to your attacking players. Because the likes of your Rashford are just outstanding at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely right. Someone else that impressed me, and we'll talk about a little bit later tonight, Pellistri, obviously has really improved over the last year, went on loan, came back, had a really great sort of, well, I say what great, but a very good World Cup for Uruguay, and just looked really good off that right. But we'll talk about him a little bit later on. I felt Ericsson, we've spoken about him a lot recently. I feel like he was really off today. And someone said in the group chat earlier, sort of chasing his shadows. But do you think he maybe needs sort of a bit of time out? Greg, obviously, Jamie, obviously with the congestion. Sorry, bro, congestion that we've got. It's because you were talking about Greg earlier. I had it in my head. Sorry. No, with all this congestion and playing a game every 3.2 days, I think it works out to be. It's probably gonna be a strain on everybody, but particularly him. But I felt like he was a bit off tonight, Jamie. What do you think about him?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think the run of games that we played him in, he's starting to burn out a little bit. And I keep mentioning this, let's not forget what the man's been through. Do you know what I mean? So the fact that he's even playing on a football pitch, let alone at the highest level, and let alone week in, week out, for one of the biggest clubs in the world, it's a massive success for him. But yeah, I think we're seeing the signs of burnout there. He's an odd one, Eriksen, as well, because at times in this midfield, I don't know if he knows what his role is. I know I don't sometimes know what his role is, because we'll catch him trying to, prevent the opposition from transitioning, which he is good at doing sometimes. But then obviously he's not really got the legs to keep up with some of the quicker players, and we saw that tonight. He got played through quite a lot. His distribution is obviously still phenomenal, but at the same time, we're not necessarily maximising his the potential that he has there. So he is sort of floating around in the midfield, unsure of what his instructions are, unsure of, well, that's what it looks like anyway. Obviously, I'm sure Ten Hag has given him instructions, but whether or not at the minute he has the body to carry that out. And the problem is though, you say, does he need a bit of a break? Who do we put in instead of him? We could maybe play Fred there.
This is a big problem for me, and I wanted to ask you both in a minute. I'm sorry for interrupting,
right.
But next week when we play, obviously we want to make that rotation. But I feel like I really worry that as soon as we take one or two of those players out, particularly in midfield, it really disjoints the team, and then you have to look at your other prospects. And I'm not quite sure what we do, especially with Donny van der Beek. I know everyone criticised him, hasn't played well, whatever. He's not even available, but. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be a really weird lineup, I think, next week. I'm not quite sure how to expect it.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not against putting Fred in that role, but you have to lower your expectations a little bit in terms of like the ball progression, and those passes into the final third that Eriksen's really good at, because I'm not sure that. Obviously, Fred has that in his locker, just not to the same level. I don't want anyone thinking that I'm slandering Fred and he's catching strays for no reason. I'm not against Casemiro, Fred, Bruno midfield. But yeah, I think once you start to make a couple of changes to that lineup that we saw tonight, which is probably our strongest lineup that we have available to us at the minute, it might become a bit disjointed. And don't get me wrong, 3-0 is a phenomenal scoreline to be coming up, back to Old Trafford with for the second leg. But if we rotate too much, and anything can happen. If Forest get an early goal, it's game on. Do you know what I mean? Like, and they'll push for that. So I think the squad depth or lack thereof again is showing. And I know people will point out, we did spend big in the summer and stuff like that. We made some really astute signings, some good signings. We still are obviously making up for the fact that this squad was stripped to the bare bones. We don't have the same level of depth as some of the other teams. We lost Mata, we've lost Cavani. We've lost all these players that have went in the summer. And they'd be brilliant to be bringing in for rotation, having that level of depth in the squad. So I think with Eriksen, yes, he could do with a couple of weeks, maybe playing a bit part role, get the juice back in his legs. We've got a ridiculous schedule coming up, and we'll need him fit. For example, the Barcelona game, I'm not really sure what Ten Hag's plan will be, but you imagine that it'll feature his best player. Having a good time here, Marc?
I think you've muted yourself again.
Oh, fucking hell. I'm having a great time here. I don't know why. Hang on, there you go. It changed it for some reason. There you are. Yeah, you wanted this back up again. Thanks for that, Jamie. You wanted this back up.
Yeah, look at this record here. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. You look, the results look are great. But look at the opposition here. Everton, Wolves, Bournemouth, Burnley. Probably outside of Everton at the minute, most of these teams are playing decent enough at the minute, Palace. You look at this record, apart from the Palace game, it's just been sensational. Even scoring against Arsenal and Man City, who are quote unquote the two best teams in the league at the minute.
The most goals in the top 5 leagues since returning from the World Cup.
Yeah, so look, that speaks for itself, just how good Marcus Rashford is doing at the minute, and look, if he keeps going, the world is his oyster really at the minute. Like it really, really is. But just want to address this. A man who has 7 assists in the league is not a flop.
No, he's
That's
not a
right
flop.
now.
He was free.
He was free, yeah, exactly. Like it's not like some of the other midfielders that other clubs have bought were flops. So we're not going to go there, are we? About teams were in 10th place, but like, look, Christian Eriksen. I agree with Jamie. Like, I think we have to manage him. To a certain degree.
I don't think any of us expected him to play so many minutes. And I've got to be honest, I don't think Eriksen expected to play so many minutes. But ultimately, he's probably within our top 2 midfielders, top 3.
Just quickly, let's not forget that a few months ago, people were still talking about him as potentially being one of the signings of the summer. That he transformed us. People were comparing him to the fact that, and I don't like bringing this player up because it always starts tribalism, but Eriksen versus Pogba, the transformation that had on our midfield, people kept waxing lyrical about it, saying that you see Eriksen tracking back, his attitude was good, and that he was an improvement on Paul Pogba. So I think that it's one of those that, in the grand scheme of things, yes, at the minute he looks a little bit sluggish, he looks a little bit off the pace, but at the same time, he has been a phenomenal addition to that midfield, and we picked him up for now. So I think he's been fantastic. I think Keane, like you say there, he's got a good assist record so far for us. It's not his fault that he's also not had a prominent, consistent number 9 starting week in, week out that he can use to maybe bring the balls down that he wants to play. So yeah, I think to quickly switch up and be like, oh, is he a flop? I don't think you can call anyone that was ever a free transfer a flop, really. But I mean, Pogba at Juventus, that's been a bit of a flop so far. And I don't think he's played a competitive game of football for him, has he, since he went back? And they've now just had a 12-point deduction. So, but yeah, he'll be fine. Like Keane's smashed it there. We need to just manage him properly.
Yeah, like look, if you know I'm not Pog back, by the way, Mark, before you fucking pull that comment off.
That wasn't me. I have no idea. Someone else must be logged in.
Well, Jamie doesn't have StreamYard access, but anyway, look, we won't go there. But like, if you look at the games that we do have in the next week or so, I think you can probably rest him for Reading. You can probably rest him for the second leg, against Forest. We're a 3-0 deficit. I think we'd have enough, with Casemiro, maybe Fred and Fernandes next week, with that midfield to beat Forest. Like, I would rest him in the next 2 games, like Jamie said, just to give him that bit of leeway, because he's 30 years old with a pacemaker. Like, we have to be careful with him. And look, even against Reading, if you don't really have to bring him on the pitch. You have like Kobbie Mainoo there. You have Sedan Iqbal, who can come in for that type of game in the FA Cup. So I think with Eriksen, we just have to manage him and just appreciate the quality that he has. And yeah, Shane, he makes me feel safe and warm as well.
Just wanted to come to this comment actually. Lindelof, I thought he was quite steady myself tonight, but Jarvis here says I want to give Lindelof a shout. He was steady and had good delivery. It made me think he could play as a DM. He can play as a DM. He has done the same with Martinez, but I don't think that that would be a solution. I think that kind of
it'd be the same issue. Do you know if you played him there, Mark? It'd be the same as playing Donny van de Beek there. They both don't have the physical prowess.
Well, not even that. I think Lindelof would do okay, but for someone that hasn't played there for so long, it's like fitting square pegs and round holes. You know what I mean? Like, it just kind of emphasises the fact that we really haven't got that depth still. And it's a great idea, but really on paper we should have someone else that could fit and go straight in. You know.
What is interesting about that though, because it's an interesting one, is that I think in like City's setup, I think Lindelof would be a wicked DM for them, because I think he has the intelligence, he's got the vision, and he's got the ball progression, and he's got that passing in that we've seen so many times. But yeah, so I think it's interesting, but I just think in our system it just wouldn't work. You might you won't gain anything by playing Lindelof there that you wouldn't have by playing Scott McTominay there. Regardless of your thoughts on McTominay, Lindelof at DM still presents you with the same problems that Scott would. Scott ticks the boxes about his physical presence and stuff like that, but he loses marks in his ability to read the game, for example. But I think Lindelof was solid enough tonight. But I think that's because he was next to Martinez, and Martinez was absolutely outstanding. Like, the man's got a head injury and is still whacking his head in the way of people's boots. Do you know what I mean? Like, and well, I'm not saying that I agree with, look after yourself, please, my man. But at the same time, like that level of commitment, he clearly cares. He wants to put his body on the line for us. It's like when Vidic said, you can mend a broken,
literally about to say Vidic.
you can mend a broken nose, whatever it was. You can't mend broken pride, and that's the sort of attitude that. And again, it's just more like credentials to wipe away this nonsense argument of him being too small to play centre half. Like I seen how many headers did he win tonight? I think he counted them, but it looked like he won every header he came up against. Like this man, the man's a magician. He's an absolute wizard.
I know Varane. I mean, there's an argument on which one would get in the team of the season, and a lot of people say Varane would be our defender of the season, our centre back of the season, and other people would say Martinez. But it's been a long time since we've had someone that's come in, hit the ground running, shows us what an actual physical defender is like again, that really gets stuck in and plays wonderful passes, and it's just gotten with it so well. I absolutely can't say enough about the man. Really, absolutely love him. So actually, talking of him himself, he's the one that's done the post-match interview tonight. So he's come on to say, I'm really happy with the job of the team. We played so good today, but we still have many things to improve. I'm really happy because we showed discipline. We were very focused the whole game. We have to always play like this. He goes on to say, against Crystal Palace, we conceded in the last minute, same as Arsenal, but they're never going to give up. And that's pretty much everything he's come out with. So obviously all things that we all know, but another great performance, and hopefully he can obviously stay fit and continue to be part of that partnership. Good to see that we could bring Lindelof in tonight, and as we've already spoken about, and as Jarvis mentioned, he did a reasonable job. And I've said this for so long now. Martinez, because he's quick, because he's got that sort of technical ability and can sort of sweep up, it makes everyone else's job easier. And I think if you played Maguire, Lindelof, Varane, they would all do a very good job. And I think it's how they're, what's that?
So it's just the expression, him turning like milk. It's really tickled me.
Oh yeah, I say that. Yeah, Maguire turns like milk. It turns quicker than milk. Yeah, it's a good one.
Shame. Don't know why that's creased me. It's creased me as much as ours, but that's funny.
Right, moving on then. We wanted to talk about Pellistri. Obviously came on tonight. I think a lot of people were calling out for him to potentially play and could even sort of get a start next week. I thought he was quite exciting when he came on. As I said, played quite well in the World Cup. And looked quite exciting, really has grown over the last year or so. But Keane, there was a particular point, obviously a little bit more than that, sort of taking on players, but he obviously crossed that ball in really nicely into Weghorst, and unfortunately he couldn't hit the target. But how was his performance for you tonight?
Yeah, he looked tidy, didn't he, when he came on? Like he went inside, went outside. It was like a proper old school winger, weren't he? Like, when
he was.
He came on, he kind of gave you that bit of a vibe, like an old school winger. But yeah, look, I think he should be getting a bit more game time with the games that are coming up. We're going to need a lot of players, especially in them attacking positions as well. So yeah, look, he done well. Good cameo, good cross into Weghorst. Still, it's a pity he wasn't finished, but yeah, I liked his energy. Tonight he was quite good. But again, I did voice my concern. Do I see a long-term future for him at the club? I don't know. Considering like Diallo has to come back now as well, and he's tearing it up in the Championship at the minute. What's going to happen with Pellistri in the next couple of months. It'll be interesting to see, especially like with Anthony and Jadon Sancho as well being there on the right. We're kind of stacked on that right-hand side right now. I know Shane mentioned today that does Ahmad maybe drop in as a midfielder next season, in that bracket. It remains to be seen. But yeah, like he's a good player. He's tidy. But I still have my concerns about his long-term future at the club. Considering the amount of players we have in these inside forward positions.
Yeah, I don't have a concern actually. I think if anything, I know Ahmad's doing really well on loan and he's having an absolute storming season, but I still think there's a few question marks over him. I still think can he take up that step up for United? I think he's certainly got the ability, but I think Pellistri is more of a complete player at the minute. I really do. I think that experience in the World Cup and everything prior to that, I think he's more of a complete player and probably has a more of an opportunity. Even if Abba came back, I think Pellistri would get in front of him at the moment. That's just my opinion. But yeah, obviously we want to see Ahmad doing well, and hopefully he comes back and continues to do that for us. Yeah, with that obviously banner, make sure you are liking, subscribing. It is very, very important to us. And we appreciate you doing that. And give the boys a follow as well. Obviously, always on here, always spouting great stuff, and always appreciate their time.
On that, Mark, you're on about this, spouting great content. Obviously, Lisandro Martinez getting man of the match. It was just lovely to see this reward. Lovely to see this reward given to Lisandro Martinez, and just another cap, a feather in my cap. For my love and and my affection for that absolute scumbag from Merseyside. But yeah, I love Lisandro Martinez, and he's shutting that fella up every single day.
I don't know where you got that from, but that really, really tickled me. So thank you for that, and hopefully we can wind up Carragher going forward. Right, we're going to move on to player ratings then, and I want to get a kind of idea before we close up on the show. What you think your sort of midfield's going to be for next week. I think that's the one that's going to be less certain. So we'll talk about that, your 3 midfielders for next week. I know you're going to do a preview. You can talk about it again, but I just want to get an idea for myself. That's all right. Right, so David De Gea then, first of all, and I'll give that to you, Jamie.
5, 6, 6. Yeah, we'll go with a 6 because he made that save from
a couple of good saves, yeah. A couple of good saves
from that luchador-looking man in the Forest midfield. I can't remember his name. You know who I mean?
Danilo, is it?
No, not Danilo. The one on the left with the headbands on. He looked like he was about to get pushed out by Vince McMahon. Do you know what I mean? As the new heel for the franchise. I can't remember his name. That's really bad of me. But yeah, that wicked left peg on him. De Gea managed to save. But other than that, I think some of the things that were brought up today again were his distribution looked poor. There was that one that really got highlighted where he tried to play the ball to Malacia and played it out for a throw in, and then rather than him holding his hands up and going, sorry, that's my bad, he then has a go at Malacia and says, you should be there. And it's just like, well, maybe pass to where the player is rather than where you think he should be. And I know that comment obviously says that I'm very harsh on De Gea there. I just think that we're getting past this point in 2023 where goalkeepers need to be praised for shot stopping.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think the position has evolved, particularly over the last 5 years or so. And whilst he's been a phenomenal player for the club, no one's disputing that. I think that you do need more to your game, and you're absolutely spot on, Jamie.
I think it limits us, and I'm not slandering De Gea. Like I'm not one of these people that's like, "Oh, get rid of him." I don't want to get rid of him. If he's happy to help deputise and help transition to a new goalkeeper that can play with his feet and can play out from the back and give us an extra option, then I'm all for it. But I just think that every time De Gea makes a save, it's counteracted by 2 minutes later when he plays the ball out into trouble or into danger. And you see that like Lisandro Martinez he screams for the ball off De Gea because he knows that De Gea is not going to pick the right pass or distribute it well enough. So we've got our centre half demanding the ball off the goalkeeper so that he can start the attack. So even straight away in the first phase of attack, we're a man down because we've got one of the outfield players picking up the ball. And you don't see that at City. You don't see, I know Liverpool have been poor this season, but you don't see it there. You don't see it across top clubs in the world because they're evolving their goalkeeper game.
Even Kepa now, like he's as much as, like, let's say he lacks in that shot stopping department, even from a distribution standpoint, he's decent as well. Like,
yeah.
And another good example, because I guarantee you'll start to see it soon, is Newcastle will be looking as great as Nick Pope has been for them. He's been fantastic, but they get away with the fact that they've got Trippier on the right, who's such a good distributor of the ball that Pope can use him as his outlet or whatever. Botman's good at progressing, and Shah's been good this season as well. But Pope relying mainly on his shot stopping, which he again, he's kept. I think it's like 8 clean sheets in a row, 9 clean sheets in a row, something like that. But Newcastle, if they want to be,
conceded a goal since October.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
But as they start to, if they want to continue to be up there, and if they want to make sure this isn't just a fluke season, they'll start to look for an upgrade soon on Nick Pope, because Nick Pope has been really good to steady the ship. He's been phenomenal for them. But goalkeepers can't just keep relying on being shot stoppers. Not in 2023. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. And just a question for everyone in the comments as well. What are your thoughts on David De Gea, and if you were to look for a replacement, who would you like to see come in the summer, perhaps? Right, then moving on to Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Keane.
Give him a 6. Thought solid defensively. Didn't do too much going forward, as the esteemed pundit Graham Souness would say. He was a steady Eddie today, so I'd give him a 6.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Lindelof, Jamie.
Probably a 6.5. He dealt with him well. I think that Surridge goal, I'd say we got away with one. We didn't. He was offside. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a conspiracy theory, and it's not, United were lucky there. He was just offside. I think that's probably the only moment where he was caught napping a little bit. I think he was all right. He dealt well with the physical presence, and his distribution was decent. But again, like we said, he looks good next to Lissandro, because everyone does. And I know we had a clean sheet, but I'm not going to give an 8 or a 9 for a defender that just because we kept a clean sheet. Like, I don't think Lindelof was necessarily as important to that clean sheet as, say, Lissandro was. But I'm going to stick with 6.5.
No, I think you're right, mate. I'd agree with you. Absolutely spot on. So let's move on to Martinez then. Quite rightly, I think, man of the match. Absolutely storming game. Lots of clearances. First on everything, as you saw the graphic on TV tonight. But yeah, King.
Yeah, I give him an 8. I think he was really good. Made very good interceptions. I thought his, like we're talking about, distribution and passing, like the way he stepped into midfield a couple of times and really played the ball, he was very good. So I give him an 8, outstanding man of the match. And again, just for our few new viewers who've popped into the show and that haven't seen this beauty, look at this man of the match award. Absolutely fucking fantastic. But yeah, I give him an 8. Absolutely brilliant, and keep it going.
Yeah, he was superb again. I don't think he's put a foot, well, other than the Brighton game, obviously but the whole team were questionable, but he's been absolutely phenomenal since then. 119 touches, 95 passes completed, 92% pass accuracy, 5 tackles won, 4 clearances, 3 long balls completed, 3 out of 4 area duels won, 2 interceptions, 1 block, and of course 0 goals conceded. Not bad at all. And then obviously moving back to Malacia. Jamie.
Again, probably a 6. I don't think he did anything too spectacular. He was solid enough on the left hand side. Again, he's a young, raw player who's going to work on his game, and he'll get better and better. We've seen we've seen what he can do. We've seen really good flashes of his potential over the course of the time that he's been here. But there's a few times that he looks a little bit short of ideas when he crosses the halfway line. But one thing he did do today that I was impressed with is he didn't overcommit himself to anything on Brennan Johnson, really. This could have been a game where he got where he was hard, he halved Johnson, he gets a booking early doors, and then it's a different game for us. We didn't have Luke Shaw on the bench, so it was important that we made sure that Malacia stayed on for 90. And he managed to do that, and so I think, a 6 is a fair one. I think he was pretty solid, but Johnson did have his number quite a few times.
He did, yeah. I think we always kind of had that same sort of story for him, really, isn't it? I mean, I love Massa. I think he's got a tremendous ceiling, but his inexperience does show at times. And you obviously talked about that, and obviously Johnson on that right-hand side, and that happened a couple of times tonight. But a solid performance, I think, and obviously we're pleased with that. Loads of you watching right now, which is obviously great. Absolutely love that, and thank you very much. But make sure you like and subscribing, and loads of you on Twitter. So come over to youtube.com/The Weekly Armchair Sports Talk. We want to see your comments and read them out. Right, moving on to our main man, who we missed at the weekend, Keen, Casemiro.
Casemiro actually gets a 6.5, and I said 7. But I'm going to give him a 6.5 because I think midfields probably across the board probably get that. Even probably, I'm borderline 6.5, 7 with Bruno just because he got the goal at the end. But yeah, look, it wasn't a vintage Casemiro performance. But like, look, we've seen at times at certain points why you've seen why he's so valuable to this team in terms of his experience and his interceptions. Maybe tonight on the ball he could have done maybe a touch or two less, but like, look, you give him a free pass because, like, look, he's the best defensive midfielder in the league, and all these Arsenal fans coming at me with Thomas Partey, like Marcus Rashford sent him to the shops the other day. So don't come at me with that chat. Like, come on.
Yeah, listen, I know we can be biased, and obviously we're Man United fans, but I can't see anyone in their right mind disagreeing that Casemiro is just unbelievable, and we've been
He,
wonderfully blessed with him. But go on,
he
Jamie.
also got the claim for the assist for Rashford's goal as well, so that'll be the easiest assist he'll ever have in his life.
Wonderful.
So it's his set. I think what was it, seven assists and 2 goals or something I've seen that he's had since he joined us now.
Yeah, not a bad
Again,
season
that
for a
absolute
defensive
cheese
midfielder.
of an assist. Like, I'm sorry, like
You
that
take 'em.
is a cheese of an
You
assist.
take 'em all, wouldn't
you
you?
take them all day.
Take them all. Right, Ericsson, obviously we touched upon him earlier. And Jamie, is this your one?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ericsson.
I think he was probably our worst player on the night. That's not a criticism massively of his
I agree.
ability as a footballer. I'm just putting it out there. So I'll probably give him a 5. I just think that the game didn't suit him tonight, really. I think that the way that Steve Cooper set up that Forest midfield is they had a lot of legs, a lot of energy. They pressed us quite high, which I think created that sort of illusion of there just being no midfield in the midfield third at any given point. Because obviously when they were hitting us in transition, Casemiro was already in our own half. Ericsson looked a little bit lost, and Bruno obviously was still an attack himself. So we ended up in those positions where that Scarpa, I think his name was Scarpa. I think that's what I'm thinking of when I said about Vince McMahon's new heel. He had legs. And then Gibbs White, just I don't know where that performance came. I can't claim to watch Forest week in week out. I watch them when I can, but if that's what Gibbs White's been performances have been like all season, then Forest have got a gem on their hands and that £40 million transfer fee is easy. So I think Ericsson just looked a little bit off the pace compared to the legs that were in the midfield tonight. But again, that's not necessarily his fault. Just wasn't the right game. But I give him a 5. I don't think he did anything wrong. Didn't do anything necessarily right either. But it's one game, innit?
Yeah, absolutely right. I think you're spot on. And Jarvis absolutely rounds it off perfectly. I give all the midfielders a 6, move the ball too slow, and invite Forest to be aggressive and break the play many times, especially in that first half. I think that's absolutely spot on. Keane, your man, Bruno Fernandes.
Do you know what? I said a minute ago 6.5, right? But I just seen a tweet here that sums Bruno up, and that's why I love him. Bruno playing crap but creating the most chances in the game and scoring is just wonderful. It pisses all his haters off. I completely agree with that. Like, look, again, wasn't one of Bruno's best games, but again, you've seen he's still influential. He still creates chances and he gets a goal. Like, he's clutch. I give him a 7 just for the goal. I think just for getting that goal at the end. I was borderline giving him a 6.5, but I give him a 7 just because he got on the score sheet. And again, he just boiled a bit of piss tonight. So for that alone, yeah, I give Bruno Fernandes a 7. But look, with this again, I think in the next couple of weeks you will see some sort of regression in certain players' performances, because some of these players have been playing week in, week out, and like if they have games like every 3-4 days, eventually you're going to see a bit of drop off in performance, and hopefully it just doesn't happen in games like Barcelona or games like Spurs away or Anfield. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully, like these games they get like against Forest and against maybe teams like Reading, they can maybe get it out of their system. But yeah, look, not much more to say on Bruno. He does what it says on the tin.
Yeah, absolutely right. And then moving on to Anthony on the right-hand side, Jamie.
Yeah, I think it was one of his better performances he's had in recent weeks. He looked lively. He was threatening.
I liked him.
And he was dynamic. Do you know what I mean? Like, he gets himself into positions to cause problems. And I've said this multiple times on this show, that when whoever ends up being the long-term right back, whether it is Wan-Bissaka, because obviously his Remontada under Ten Hag at the minute, it's been fantastic. Whether it's Dalot or whether it's someone that we dip in, like Malo Gusto. Obviously, I keep seeing links. I know he's linked with Chelsea, blah blah blah. But whoever that right back is, once they form a partnership where they overlap as Anthony undercuts and it provides us with that width to stretch the fullback, Anthony will add more to his game. And I think tonight he looked threatening. He was unlucky not to score. It was a great save from Wayne Hennessy. And, on another day, he might have had an assist to his name. But I just think that the meltdown that people are having about him being a flop after 6 months at the club, after Erik Ten Hag, really, really badly wanted him after working with him at Ajax. There's a player there. Ten Hag's talent ID is pretty decent from what we've seen so far. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like the players he's brought in have all been good for us. And I just think that it'll come good. And tonight he did show good flashes of that. I just want him to maybe use his right foot a little bit more. He is very, very one-footed, but hopefully he can work on that. But I'll give him probably a 6.5. I think it's a fair rating. Maybe 6.5. No, 6.5.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I agree with you. I think there's a big player in there, and I think there's a lot more to come. You know, as I say, not everyone comes in, hits the ground running. We saw that with Martinez. Might take a little bit of time, but Anthony, I've been really impressed. He scored some big goals at big moments. Did look very direct tonight. I really thought this was maybe one of his better games, and lots to improve on. But doing okay with lots to improve on is not a bad thing. Moving on to our main man at the minute, Marcus Rashford. Keane.
I give Marcus Rashford an 8 tonight. Not man of the match, obviously, because Martinez is man of the match. But yeah, 8, fantastic. Again, very dangerous, very dynamic. Not just like from a shooting point of view, but like his link-up play was good tonight as well. And it's something I've seen in the last couple of days. People are giving him stick about his link-up play, which I think is just absolute nonsense. And just for that, obviously, as well. If Marcus Rashford keep it going, they're one of the best attackers in the Premier League this season. And Greg Chambers come outside. That's all I'll say on that one. That's the one we had to screenshot the chat later. But yeah, like, look, he's brilliant. And Gareth Southgate, like, what Southgate? What was he thinking? He was sitting in the Emirates on Sunday. On one side, Saka's tearing it up, on another side, Rashford's tearing it up, and then he had like Mason Mount and Raheem Sterling playing. And like, who's the other one? Who else was playing there? In the World Cup, like that he didn't play. He played. Wait, so didn't Southgate play Sterling and someone else on the wing, and Rashford and Saka didn't play against France? Remember that game?
I think Saka started every game, didn't he?
Saka started,
yeah, I'm
but
sure.
he took him off, didn't he? He took Saka off. He only gave Rashford 4 minutes against France.
Yeah,
I know Grealish come
same
on a couple of times, but
yeah, I was going to say
Foden,
yeah, that's who it was. But like, I think Southgate must be looking at himself right now, thinking, "I'm some fool." Right now, when you look at the form of them two players, like they're both so good, and the best two inside forwards in the league this season. And yeah, I agree. In the form of his life, and he is unstoppable. Yeah, Saka did always start, but I remember he got taken off when he was probably the best player in the pitch against France. But yeah, absolute madness.
Yeah, absolutely right. Just wanted to read this out. We were talking about him a moment ago, but Casemiro now has 7 goals or assists for Manchester United so far this season. That's 2 more than he had for Real Madrid all of last season. So there you go. Already improved. Not that you needed to, but you know what I mean. It's a good return, and we've still got 20 games, 19 games, whatever. So excellent stuff. And that's not even what he's there for. You know what I mean? He's to sit and shield the back four, but his progressive passing is absolutely wonderful, and getting that too, which is can't ask for any more, can you? Right then, final one about Weghorst, and just to quickly read a couple of things out first. I know a lot of this is trivial, it doesn't really mean a fat lot, but here we go. 100% pass accuracy, 30 touches, 20 passes completed, 1 aerial duel, 1 long balls completed, 1 shot on target, and 1 goal. Jamie.
Yeah, I think. What did you give Bruno, Keane?
Give Bruno a 7 just because he scored.
Yeah, I think Weghorst would probably be around a 7 for me as well. He does what he was brought in to do. Like, you're telling me, like, Ten Hag did not bring him in to go, right, he's going to be the man, he's going to score us 30 goals a season, he's going to be the number 9 that we can get the ball into his feet, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He does what he needs to do. He presses and harasses and holds up the centre halves. He drops deep, receives the ball. He does similar stuff to what Martial does. Obviously, slightly different frames of players, so it looks different in when they actually do it. But that thing of distracting centre halves, it allows for Rashford or for Anthony or whoever's going to be to making the runs to get at defenders. And we saw tonight, like I said, he's got predatory instincts. He was the quickest one off the mark to get to Wayne Hennessey's save, and he pokes it home. And if he does that, 10 more times this season, then what a lone move it's been. So, yeah, 7 for me. I think he was good. Getting his first goal for the club will only help him. Do you know what I mean? He's taken that weight off his shoulders of not scoring, and he's now got a few more games before he needs to score again, and he'll be good. You're on mute again, Mark.
Oh, I turned myself off mute. Anyway, I like this comment here by Ten Hag about Rashford. He said, he's just said this after the match, but he said, in this mood and with this spirit, he is unstoppable. I like that, and long may that continue. He said a few other things here. We have to do the same next week. Invest, prepare, and have a good game plan. The players have to be focused. We almost let them, Forest, come back into the game, and we can't allow that. So much control. We dictated the game, but one moment can change that. We cannot allow it. They changed the system. We did not anticipate that. That can't happen. That's a moment that we have to improve on. But overall, he's happy with the performance for 90 minutes. We were in control of the game. I think we were ultimately. I think obviously there were a few scary moments, but I think ultimately we were pretty, even underperforming, but pretty composed and controlled. I want everyone in the comments to get involved with this. I just want to quickly ask the boys on the midfield. 3 probably next week. Obviously, we want to see a bit of rotation, but we were discussing earlier, it's not really too easy to do that. So, Keane, I'll come to you first. Who do you expect to start in that midfield 3 next week?
Against Forest?
Yes.
Matic, Herrera, Pogba. Only messing. No, only messing.
I thought I'd gone back in time there.
No, I think it'll be Casemiro, Fred, and Fernandes.
Casemiro, Fred, and Fernandes. And what about you, Jamie?
Is this for the return leg?
The return leg next week. Yeah.
I reckon we'll see the return of McFred. I reckon it'll be McTominay, Fred, and Fernandes. I think he'll give rests to most of the squad. I think the only one that I can guarantee will play will probably be Rashford. I think unless there's an injury or whatever there, you'll want to continue scoring. But I think that'll be my midfield 3. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Casemiro starts, but McTominay, Fred, Bruno.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I hope Casemiro starts as well. I want him to start every game. It's great when we see him turn up, as we've all said tonight, and a few people in the comments, we feel safe and secure with him there. Listen, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Really appreciate you getting involved tonight. Obviously, a really good, well worked in the end 3-0 win at a difficult ground to go to, and obviously with one foot in the door. All right, yeah, let's do it. We haven't done that before. Ten Hag, give him a score. I know everyone feels the same, but I love the man. I believe every single word he says. I love his talent ideas, Jamie says, and you can see not necessarily the difference in any comparison to any other manager we've had previously, but you can see it ticking. You can see the kind of changes he's making for the benefit, and I don't think there's many things that he's done wrong. But Jamie, go on.
He's the best bald manager in the league. He's head and shoulders above the rest.
There you go, head and shoulders. Anyway,
because it's a shampoo brand. Get it?
Yes, I got it, Jamie. I just didn't find it very funny, but thank you.
Oh, sure. What did you say before? Vout of this world.
Yeah.
Get out. Get out.
Oh, fucking hell.
Fucking hell.
You know it's nearly 11 o'clock tonight when we're talking
I know,
shit.
man.
Yeah.
I've got a bloodshot eye because I'm so fucking tired, and you lot are coming out with shit show jokes. But listen, as I would say for the 3rd time before I was really interrupted by Jamie, we love you, bro. Thanks for coming on, mate. And but we appreciate everyone in the comments tonight. Obviously, loads. Yeah, please like and subscribe if you haven't done already. And and we really appreciate all your comments. Conversation's been brilliant tonight. Obviously, we've got probably a match preview with the man to my right, this way. Almost got it wrong. And obviously, Jamie, I'm sure we'll be on very soon again. Hopefully a match reaction. I like getting him on. He's always good laugh and tries to be funny, and sometimes I do laugh at it. But anyway, thanks for joining in. Obviously, with match reaction again, hopefully after the weekend against Reading. But yeah, we will see you next time.